So the other day I was watching one of Rick Beato's latest videos titled, "What Kind of Music Is This?" And if you haven't seen one of these types of videos before, this is where Rick listens to a Spotify top 10 list, or in this case, the Billboard top 10 list of a specific genre, and he makes his judgments. He makes comments on it based off of his experience as a producer and writer and player and everything. And I enjoy these kind of videos because it kind of helps tune me into what's popular, what people are listening to now. And in this particular video, he takes a listen to the alternative top 10 list, what's happening in the alternative genre. And I, for one, enjoyed a lot of the songs on there. The guitar is very prevalent. There's some really great production techniques happening. And the songwriting, I thought, generally was pretty cool. And then I scrolled down into the comments section and was just blown away by the negativity towards the music in this video. Now, this is definitely not new, right? Comment sections all over the internet are filled with people's armchair opinions on, music and musicians and production techniques of the time. But this one felt particularly salty. And I'm going to read some of the comments from this video. If this is alternative, I'm really scared of what is in mainstream. If someone told me all these songs were from one band, I'd probably believe them. They sound so similar with all the compression and overproducing. Doesn't anyone sing or play instruments without effects crushing the soul out of the music anymore? I guess Aaron's not a fan of Pink Floyd or Jimi Hendrix or U2 or The Police, or I guess anyone that uses effects on their vocals or guitar. I'm glad I'm old, so this wasn't the music of my life. I feel sad that my generation sucks so much that you feel a sense of duty to waste time making long videos like this, reviewing crappy music, when you have so much other good content you're offering. I'm not even going to watch the rest of this video. I can't stand the crap that passes for music these days. This comment has a lot of I was born in the wrong generation kind of energy. Like, I should have been born in the 60s, man. Like, that's really what this is telling me. Now, music is obviously subjective, right? And there's nothing that says you have to like the music of a certain style or generation. And I didn't like all the songs on that list, but I was really struck by the negativity levied at that particular list of songs. And as a guitar player, I think it's interesting that the genre that arguably is featuring the guitar most heavily now seems to be the target of the most animosity. And so I decided to talk to Rick about it. I invited him up here to my studio, and we sat down and had a discussion about why so many people seem to hate modern music. And I think the discussion we had was pretty interesting. If you're interested in seeing the entire discussion, you can check that out on the Inner Circle, link down below, find out more information there. But without further ado, let's jump in and see what Rick has to say about this. On your top 10 to alternative list video,
yeah,
did you read those comments?
Well, the first day, yeah, I did.
What did you think about them?
People hate alternative music.
To
be fair, it's people that watch my channel hate alternative music, or they hated the music on that list.
Yeah, but I would say that your channel has a pretty wide swath of musicians, people that are interested in music. For the most part, your channel seems to have a pretty good selection of people from all different backgrounds. And when I was reading the comments, I watched it the day it went up, and I was reading the comments and was struck by how much negativity there was.
Well, to be fair, the people that are clicking on these things, like when somebody clicks on an alternative video, if they're, depending on their age, what they think is alternative music, somebody that's my age thinks of alternative music as would have been sub pop music back in the early 90s, late 80s or something, or bands like Sebadoh or REM before they became famous. That was alternative music back in the late 80s, early 90s. So those people are coming expecting to hear that, and then they hear the stuff that is kind of what's honestly stylistically all over the place.
Right.
It's all guitar music, though.
And that's what I found interesting about it, was coming from a guitar player perspective, 31 years old, I'm listening to this stuff, and my thoughts are there's some really cool production on here. There's some really great guitar sounds. There's some cool hooks. There's some really great songwriting. And it's not every single song, but on that list, there was a lot of really great music. But if you just judged it based off of the comments section, people seem to think it was all trash.
Yeah. Hated it.
Which I find fascinating. Has it always been this way? People of the time listening to the music of the time having just such a disdain for it.
No. One of the things about the internet, on YouTube is that music has gotten so fragmented, it's difficult to sort these lists that they have. The people aren't expecting, like the metal playlist. The metal ones are pretty much just as negative. The comments are almost as negative too. It doesn't sound like the metal that they're used to. It's not even, doesn't even sound like new metal of 15 years ago, 20 years ago now. So part of it is the expectations that are set up. I think that plays into that people are expecting to hear one thing and they hear something so different than what they expected that they are horrified. Not most of the people, but a lot of people that comment are people with strong opinions.
Right. So do you think there is an age component to this? Do you think, and you can't tell from your comment section unless people tell you their age or give you some kind of clue, but do you think it's older people, maybe older millennials, Gen X, that, lived through the grunge era or the alternative era of the 90s and the early 2000s that are listening to modern alternative and have such disdain for it?
Well, I think that there's a cycle. I thought about this. I think that there's a cycle of YouTube comments. The first comments that typically come in are the people that are interested in the topic. And eventually the video does well and gets 400,000 or 500,000 views. And over time, if I go back and look at the comments, and it's people that are fans of the band eventually find the video, and then they will subscribe to my channel. So I think there's a cyclical thing. Sometimes your videos have to find their audience.
Yes, I've seen that too. I see a similar arc on my videos where the first few days, it's people that follow my channel and mostly are positive and supportive of whatever topic I'm talking about in the video. And then if it's a video that really grows and reaches beyond the audience that I typically have, then you start to see that's where a lot of the hate, the negative comments, or just people's opinions that don't know you, don't follow your channel, they just are judging based off of that single thing. That's when it really starts to come in. Do you think that this is indicative of modern culture's approach to music in general, or is this strictly just a YouTube thing and we're only viewing it through the lens of YouTube comments?
It's hard to know because you don't really know who the people are that are commenting. The alternative thing is especially a tricky word because alternative has no, it's like, what does that even mean nowadays? Alternative to what? That's the thing. So that one in particular is really tricky. You're gonna have problems. So
there is something to that because with the rise of social media, everyone has a platform now, everyone has a voice, and I think there is more people now sharing their opinions publicly in either an informed way or not so informed way than there ever has been in the past. And I think that leads to a lot of, everyone's a critic or everyone has a hot take on this new album or this new record or this new band or what qualifies. That's what I saw a lot in your comment section. This isn't alternative, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. These bands were alternative. This isn't alternative. And do you think that what you highlighted on your video the other day qualifies as alternative?
Well, one of the reasons I do the videos is so I can keep in touch with what people are calling alternative. I think that format just doesn't really have any meaning anymore. So they have a delineation of alternative, but it's not really indie. I think when people were thinking alternative, they were thinking they were going to hear indie rock,
right?
Not hear Coldplay.
Yeah, and I get that. If your expectations aren't met, and you're judging based off of what you think a certain style of music is supposed to be, and then you're handed something else that was curated by someone else, I can understand the rub there. But it seemed that it was beyond that. From people's reactions in that video, it seemed that there was just an honest disdain, not just for the music, but for the bands and the people that were making the music.
Well, I made this video on Coldplay and great songs by bands people hate. And I talked about the song Amsterdam off Rush of Blood to the Head. And some of the comments were, what do you mean people hate Coldplay? And then the other half of the comments were, God, I hate that band so much.
Right.
And it's interesting to see that people that like Coldplay don't realize that a lot of people dislike them now. Everybody thought it was going to be a Nickelback video, And so when I make a video and I say that I like Billie Eilish, people get mad at me.
Why though?
I don't know. They just, they don't expect me to like Billie Eilish.
But so I understand not liking an artist or not liking, Billie Eilish's new record, or I even understand the Coldplay hate, right? I love Coldplay's early stuff, but the things they've been doing since 2011 and 2012, I'm just not a fan of. But what I don't understand is people getting upset at someone like you, or I ran into it with myself and Marty Schwartz did a reaction video to John Mayer's new record, and I liked it. I thought it was overall a good record. Mm-hmm. Is it his best work? I don't think so, but it's a good record.
What were the comments like?
There was a lot of sort of personalized attacks towards Marty and myself for even liking the music. And people seemed to think that it was, and this was a very few comments here and there, but there were some people that I think it put our credibility in their eyes in jeopardy because we said that, hey, yeah, I think this is good. Here's what I like about this thing. And that I don't understand.
I make a video where I talk about Joe Pass, the Virtuoso record, and how my dad gave that to me, how that's a really important record. And people put in the comments, I can't believe 75 people dislike this. What is wrong with the people? And I was like, well, and I always laugh about it. I say, no, they hate me. They don't hate Joe Pass. They don't care about Joe Pass. They don't hate my dad or anything, I don't think. They hate me.
Right.
That's what they're reacting to. Like anything that I do, they'll you're always going to find people like that.
Well, it comes from people wrap their identities up in what bands they listen to, in what brand of guitar they buy, in what type of computer that they use. For better or for worse, that's part of the online experience.
We all do that.
Yeah, it's like, and part of it I understand, right? Like when you save up and work really hard and spend thousands of dollars on a guitar, and then you hear some dude on the internet talking trash about that guitar, it's going to piss some people off. I get it. I guess what I was struck by in that alternative top 10 video was just the pure hate, but it didn't seem like people were necessarily honing in on specifics about the songs that they didn't like.
No, because they don't even get through. Most of them don't even get through the whole thing. They'll watch, half the video with that. Then they'll click off.
It was like just more of a tribalistic, well, it's new, it's modern, it's made by people, maybe younger than me or people that don't even know what alternative is. Therefore, it all sucks. This is trash. Why are you even making a video on this? And that, to me, I don't understand.
Anytime that you are saying, like I have my series, what makes this song great? Well, I think this song sucks. Like, okay, well,
fine.
Okay, don't watch the video.
Yeah, Yeah, I guess it's just it's a online internet culture thing, right?
If you think about how often you leave comments, Rhett.
Very rarely,
right?
And when I do, they're always positive.
Exactly. Me too. I never would leave a negative comment ever.
But is that because we are on the receiving end of negative comments?
No, I just don't see what the point is of why would you waste your time to put a negative comment on something.
There's a lot of people that do.
But it just seems like there's so much better use of your time to do that.
Well, yeah. And even with the music side of things, like, okay, you don't like the top 10 alternative Spotify list, you don't like Billie Eilish's new record, you don't like Coldplay's new stuff, totally fair, right? It's music is subjective. Your taste in art is totally subjective and up to you, and you're not wrong. You're not wrong for not liking or not thinking that what is currently called alternative doesn't qualify.
Well, people are wrong about Joe Pass. If they think Virtuoso is just noodling, they're wrong about that.
I don't feel qualified to speak on that.
Okay.
But the part that bothers me is this sort of trend of just trashing something, completely writing off an artist or a band or a style of music or an album or whatever based off of hearing 30 seconds of it on a Rick Beato video or a Rhett Shull video or whatever. I think that is not a super positive trend just in general.
I will say that the alternative thing was more an outlier because I saw way more negative comments about that than even the pop lists. And the pop lists tend to be actually pretty positive.
Which I would not suspect. I just, especially with, your audience being mostly musicians and people that are very serious about music, and my audience being the same way.
I wouldn't say that my audience is mostly musicians. I think a lot of my audience are not musicians.
But I think a lot of your audience is very serious, takes music very seriously, whether or not they play an instrument. I would say that is true. And so I would expect, based off of my experience with musicians and people that take music really seriously, that they would look at the pop lists and just, this is garbage. It's all auto-tune crap. It's all lined up drums, whatever. But you tend to have a positive take on most of the pop stuff, which I typically agree with. And your comments typically have a positive take on it. But
I know how hard doing really good production is, even if it's stuff that I disagree with, heavy auto-tuning. There's still an art to doing it.
Yeah.
And doing it really well.
Yeah.
There's records that I love to listen to where I hate the music.
Yeah.
I mean, that are so well produced. I just marvel every time I listen to it. And it's weird. It's like, why are you listening to this? I thought you hate this. It's like, yeah, I do, but it sounds so good.
It does sound good. I have stuff like that too, where it's like my guilty pleasure songs. I have guilty pleasure albums that are that way. It's like you listen to it and you're like, damn, I mean, that song.
It's like the kick and the bass sound amazing together. It's like, my God, this record sounds good.
So, why do people hate modern music? Who knows? So those are our thoughts on why so many people seem to hate modern music. I don't think we necessarily solved any big issues here, but I like having these discussions. I like talking about this stuff because as a musician, I think it's important to try and figure out where people are at and why people like certain things and why they don't like other things. I'm interested in that. And with that in mind, let me know in the comments section. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? What do you think about this particular list? I'd love to know. If you'd like to support the channel, check out the Inner Circle link down below. For $10 a month, you can get access to extra content and early access to my new video courses as they're going up. That's all linked down below. You can also find links to my Kemper Profiles, Helix presets, and soon AxeFx 3 profiles. Those are coming very soon, as well as my video courses and everything else. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Rhett Shull. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and remember, there is no plan B.